Hello, everyone. Before we begin our descent, make sure to like and subscribe to HushLedger. Leaving a comment telling us where you're listening from helps the algorithm keep you in the dark with us. Now, let's begin. Story 1. What was left behind? I bought my first house last spring. A battered split-level ranch in a quiet cul-de-sac. The kind with crabgrass lawns and mailboxes leaching rust. The price was almost too good to be true, which should have been my first warning. Moving day was chaotic. Boxes everywhere, the distant roar of a lawnmower. My neighbor, an older woman with a faded apron, waved from her driveway. I returned the gesture, masking my nerves. A new start, my own space. I just wanted peace. The realtor had mentioned a little work needed downstairs. The basement door was heavier than I expected, handle sticky and smelling faintly of old pennies. I flipped the yellow switch. The stairs groaned under every step, air dense and unbreathable, like wet drywall and singed fur. The previous owners hadn't bothered cleaning out the basement. Cardboard boxes, rotting tarps, a child's desk stained by mystery spills. But in the far corner behind the old furnace, something caught my eye, a wooden trunk covered in dust and crude carvings. It didn't look like it belonged. There was a chain looped loosely around it. That night, after endless unpacking, I returned to the basement, flashlight in hand. The trunk was heavier than expected. The carvings up close looked like symbols or letters, none I recognized. Two faint handprints, brown-black, marked the lid. I tried the latch. It was already unlocked. Inside, old papers, brittle with age, some charred at the edges. Dolls missing limbs, their faces gouged. But deeper in the trunk was what made my skin crawl. A glass jar sealed with black wax, filled with something gray and ropey, floating in cloudy liquid. Suddenly, the air temperature dropped. My breath fogged. I heard the faint sound of humming, coming from everywhere and nowhere. I backed away and shut the trunk. Sleep that night was elusive. I dreamed of a child's voice, chanting in a tongue I'd never heard. The next morning, I found muddy footprints trailing upstairs from the trunk to my bedroom door. Neighbors claimed the house was always odd. Previous owners moved out after their son went missing years ago. The police never found him. I tried to get rid of the trunk, but every time I moved it, the symbols felt hot, almost pulsing. Things started happening. Whispers and events. Doors locking themselves. My own reflection warping in the hallway mirror. The last straw was waking to the sound of the trunk opening on its own. I found the jar gone. The next day, a foul stench filled the house. The old woman next door just smiled, her teeth too sharp. I sleep upstairs now, the basement sealed. But sometimes when the wind howls, I hear humming drifting up from below, coy and childish. Some things left behind are meant to stay buried. Story 2. Sealed door, new warnings. We bought the house together, me and Liz. A tiny colonial on the edge of a woods, sagging porch, wild roses growing through the fence. It was supposed to be our fresh start after years renting, somewhere permanent to build our life. On move-in day, between truckloads, the realtor handed us the keys, quietly adding, "Don't bother with the old basement door." No one uses it. I laughed. Even Liz seemed unfazed. What could be so wrong with a basement in a little house like this? The basement was unfinished. Concrete floors, exposed insulation, the smell of cold earth always drifting in. We stacked boxes near a warped shelf and noticed it immediately. An old wooden door at the far end of the basement wall, painted a sickly gray, frame sealed with ancient-looking caulk and metal strips. Curiosity gnawed at us. The next night, we brought our tools, hammers, a crowbar. The air grew colder the closer we stepped. The door had no knob, just indentations and deep, jagged scratches as if something inside had tried to claw its way out. Breaking the seal was harder than expected. It took both of us, and the caulk crumbled like old bone. When Liz pried it open, a gust of air rushed out. Damp, sour, thick with mildew, and something sweeter like rotting citrus. Behind the door was a small room. At first, it looked empty. We shone our flashlights, eyes adjusting to what was left. Dozens of boxes, each labeled with names and dates, black marker faded with age. On the back wall, long sentences scrawled in looping handwriting, some in English, some in languages we couldn't decipher. Liz knelt closer, reading aloud. They always find their way back home. Suddenly, our flashlights flickered. A heavy thud echoed through the pipes overhead. Liz grabbed my arm. "Did you hear that?" We both did. Footsteps, one, then another above us. But we were alone in the house. Boxes started to shift, something inside moving. Liz's beam caught a porcelain mask resting atop a pile of children's shoes. The mask's painted smile seemed to shimmer. We left the room as quickly as we could, sealing the door behind us. That night, distant knocking came from the basement, rhythmic and slow, almost matching our breathing. We tried to ignore it, but the messages started to appear upstairs. Words etched onto the bathroom mirror in condensation. "Don't open the door." After a week, the sound spread. Room by room, footsteps, soft sobbing, doors creaking though locked. Liz woke with bruises on her wrists, circular and cold. We called the realtor, begged for answers. She only said, "Some rooms remember more than others." I told you not to open it. We sleep with earplugs now, the basement off limits, and always together. But the house keeps warning us in new ways. Phantom taps, children's laughter echoing in empty rooms. If you buy a home with a sealed basement door, don't break the seal. Some fresh starts are better left unexplored. Story 3. Photographs that changed themselves. We moved to Greystone Lane because the schools were good and the house was big enough for all of us. Me, my wife Mara, our twins Kay and Ben. It felt like a real upgrade. The kind of basement you imagine will hold laundry and rusty bikes, not secrets. On the second night, while unpacking boxes in that chilly cellar, Mara found a faded cardboard envelope wedged behind a stack of rotted wood. Inside were dozens of photographs, black and white, then color. The faces of strangers, children playing in the yard, stern-looking adults posing near the brick fireplace we now called ours. Some had smudged dates, handwritten on the back. May 1966, Halloween 1972, Thanksgiving 1983. The kind of keepsakes previous owners forget, we figured. We decided to keep them. Mara set the photos out on the kitchen table for a peek into our home's past. The kids giggled at the funny clothes and bowl haircuts, but by morning, Kay stopped laughing. "Mom," she whispered, pulling at Mara's sleeve, "the pictures look different." I glanced at the photos. In one shot, a man's blurred face, which had been smiling the night before, now looked furious, teeth bared, eyes hollow. I thought we were imagining things, tricks of the light or tired eyes. But over the next few days, small changes kept creeping in. A background tree moving closer in each image. A woman's hands, once empty, now clutching something dark and glistening. A child, missing from one photo, reappearing in another with a twisted grin. At night, the photos grew colder to touch, slick and clammy. Mara tried sealing them in a drawer, but by morning, they'd scattered across the kitchen table again. One evening, Kay screamed. The family in one photo stared out, faces pressed against the glass, eyes sudden and desperate. We argued about what to do. Ben wanted to burn them. Mara wanted to return them to the basement. We compromised, sliding them back into the envelope and burying it beneath cement bags. That night, I heard something moving in the cellar, a soft shuffling, as if someone was searching for what we'd hidden. My heart hammered as the door to the basement creaked open on its own. I checked the kitchen. On the table, the envelope sat wide open, photographs fanned in a perfect circle. Every face turned toward the room, as if watching us. By dawn, the twins both complained of nightmares. Mara refused to enter the cellar. The last straw was a photo of our own family, taken at the last birthday party, now resting among the old images. In it, we all wore the same gray, blank expressions as the strangers, and behind us, the window revealed a pale silhouette pressing against the glass. We buried the envelope in the woods. From that night onward, laughter in our house sounded distant, as if echoing from another era. If you ever find forgotten photographs in your new home, be careful. Some memories weren't meant to be picked up.